organization. It's a movement. We're talking about unity. We're talking about unity. So we're aimed to taking down the system of race by educating, enlightening, informing, and positively debating with those who have counterviews.
Good morning. It's October 20th, 2020. Actually, look at it. It's 10/10/2020. Here at the E.R.A.S.E Radio Network, I am Richard Jennings, your 6'5" host with my 5'5" twin brother, and we're here today to talk about unity. Come on.
We're twins, and I'm sure you can tell. You know, you can see the light with the soul, the identity. You got a 6'5", 5'5". That foot, I don't know what happened with that foot thing. So, but that happened, right? All right, so we're here to give you another edition of course, Talk About Unity, sponsored by the E.R.A.S.E American Unity Movement.
Come on.
And I haven't talked to you about E.R.A.S.E in a while, so I want to make sure you're on track with where we're headed. You know, we got a lot of things happening. We've got these forums for discussion, which we think are so vital to really understanding why we need unity and how we get there. So we've been working on some forums. So we'll have some of those, and people can go to our Facebook page and see some of those coming up. We got some pretty intriguing things happening there. One of the other things we've got coming up is we got some book club discussions. The book that we're going to start with starting next week, next Wednesday, so stand by for this, is Isabel Wilkerson's Cast, The Origins of Our Discontent. Great book. Go check it out. Cast by Isabel Wilkerson. You're going to be enlightened. You're going to be amazed. It's not only got some really good history, but she really puts it into a new perspective. She gives you a new paradigm to understand this thing that we call race, which she puts in the caste system. You've probably heard about that from what happens in India. People know about the caste, but it's very down to earth. It's a great read, and she makes some very good points. We're going to be discussing it on our Facebook page or Zoom meeting. We'll have the format, but we're going to do that weekly, and we're going to do it probably for the next 10 weeks. So throughout the year, every week for an hour, hour and a half, we're going to sit and talk about that. We're going to make some people smart. Some people are going to be enlightened. Then we can begin taking some action. So that's some stuff that's going to happen.
You know what? I think there'll be some people ticked off first. Sometimes people have to realize where they are, and when they realize where they are, they get mad before they get better.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't want to own it. How many people don't want to own their stuff?
Well, but it's going to be so objective where people can bring whatever baggage they got.
That's good.
They're going to bring their baggage. And then in the discussion, because, you know, that's the other thing that we're doing at E.R.A.S.E, we've got these rules for dialogue, which is so important because everybody can't come in there with just emotion and like, I'm mad at the world. I'm mad because something happened to my cousin Bebe a long time ago. And I'm mad now and I'm going to come out. So that ain't happening. So it's going to be a good time because we're going to come in there and everybody's going to bring their intellect, their intelligence, regardless of what level it is. And we're going to come to some solutions together as we look at this stuff. And I think it's going to be really good. So that's coming up on the E.R.A.S.E.
Man, Carlin, my thing is we just have to just be straight up, honest, put it out there, be vulnerable, own it. And I just have to say this. And first, I want to honor you. I want to thank you for allowing me on this journey with you. And have you ever heard somebody say, whether it's an infomercial selling a product or a service, or a preacher that says this before his message, and politicians will say this, oh, this will change your life. I'm telling you, race. I'm saying it's a calling, it's a ministry, it's a movement. It will change your life. Yeah. You know, I've known you all my life, but this is changing my life. Right. It really is.
And it's changing mine. I mean, and that's the thing. And so I think what we're learning in the experience is because everybody had their view about, especially racial issues. Everybody had their view coming in. And that's been the problem.
Yep.
Because everybody brings their baggage rather than us coming and saying, let me see, what's your baggage? What's my baggage? Let's put our bags together and let's sort through them. Let's get out the good stuff and leave the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what this experience has really been about. The movement's really been about. You can bring your baggage, you can leave your baggage, but at the end of the day, we're sorting through all that stuff and saying, we got to create some good stuff together.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening.
It didn't matter where you come from.
Yeah.
My genealogy is mostly on my dad's side Choctaw Cherokee, and then mom is Irish, Polish, and Czech. And But we were raised in a diverse community at Waller High School and all that, and so I love those days. But you know what? I still have blind spots. I'm sure we're always going to have blind spots to a certain degree until we touch it and get through it and talk through it, and then once you're not blind anymore, own that too. But
or you could be like Stevie Wonder. If you're blind, it doesn't hinder your life. You just adapt.
Come on, wait a minute.
To blindness.
Do you know there's a conspiracy running around right now that say that Stevie Wonder is not blind?
Oh,
no, seriously.
Come on now. That's enough.
No,
we had enough. Come on.
No,
conspiracies are just going off the deep end
now.
Listen. Really?
There was this talk show he was on, and they were singing. There was a bunch of people singing together like "We Are the World," right? But I don't think it was "We Are the." Maybe it was. And the microphone is falling. And he reaches over and catches it before it falls. There's a video out there. I think that was just a one-off. Somebody said, "Stevie, catch the mic," and then he caught it.
Well, but even then, I'll tell you what. See, that's what people don't realize. Talk about blind. When you have a deficiency, such as blindness, you adapt in other senses. And it could be that guy.
Stevie heard the wind
happens.
of the microphone, and he reached.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that, but adaptation is amazing.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so
all right, and
let me just
wait. One more thing though. We haven't erased race. We got a funding campaign coming.
Yes.
Check it out. We call it our $1 million campaign, because check this out. We're going for 1 million people, $1 each. 1 million people, $1 each. That's it.
How easy is that?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough to do, I'm sure, but $1.
No, I'm saying to give $1 is easy.
You want what? Yeah. $1, Vince. $1, Vanderbilt. $1. That's always $1. And you know, we're not whining about anything else, because I really think, you know, some of these things we do. You look at the money that people are investing. Like, I mean, I think about the presidential election happening.
Right.
I'm like, these people spend millions. I mean, when I say millions, 50, 70, 80, 90, $100 million on a campaign. I think if we took all that campaign money, let's pour that out into society, you know, and let's start doing some good with that, you know. So that's what it's really about. And let's have everybody, you know, pitch in to do some things like that. So $1, everybody pitch in, and let's make this happen.
Yeah, can you imagine? And that's part of what we have to do too, is cast vision regarding what the end game, what the end result is going to be. Coming together, having these conversations, if it can relieve and make better this racial tension and the injustice, and everybody getting on board to address those issues that really need to be addressed, how much better would our world be? Not just America, not just Texas, not just our world, but the world. So we're going to do a lot in this talk about unity, but unity takes a plan, a purpose, a direction, and if you want to achieve it. So today's show is dedicated to highlighting the principles of unity, and we will do that in a very practical and easy to understand way. So that's what we're about today. This what this show is dedicated to. But first, we want to cover what's happening out in the real world today. And wow, do we have some juicy stuff on that.
Yeah, besides
surprise,
the conspiracy of Stevie Wonder not being blind.
Oh,
stuff, you know?
Go look it up on YouTube. It is there.
That's crazy. It's like, what kind of stuff we got going on? All right. Hey, but yesterday, you hear about Fauci and Trump going to war?
Ooh, man.
That's crazy.
Ooh, did you see it? The look on his face, on Fauci's face. Anyway, go. You got it.
Well, I mean, I just heard, because first of all, I heard Trump. And when you hear a Trump speak, of course, you get kind of used to that. And so you don't, you know, even we're getting used to even hearing some of this crazy stuff that Trump says, but it was just the feeling of, like I said, we're talking about unity. This guy's a human being. He's got a family. I mean, I'm just always thinking,
he's a man.
How much can you dog somebody out in public when they've got a family and things like that? And of course, I do this work of unity, so maybe I'm more sensitive to trying to get along with people. But everybody's not trying to do that. And the way he just degraded Fauci yesterday was pretty bad. Besides saying he was a disaster and saying these idiots and things like that, I'm like, this guy works with you, for you, or whatever. I mean, how could you do that? But he did.
Yeah, if I would have listened to him fully, it would have cost us. What, 500 million lives?
Yeah, 500,000. No, let me see. Wait. He said we would be at 500,000 rather than the 220 we are now. He said, then like 2 seconds later in that same sentence, he said, Well, and if I listened to him, it would be 800,000.
Oh yeah.
So he kept going up and saying
500 million. There's only 350 million in the United States.
This is your lead researcher, lead scientist on the pandemic,
man,
and he's
No, okay. So what really ticked off President Trump was when he said, Dr. Fauci said,
"Well, we kind of yeah, he was
we kind of saw it coming. We kind of saw it was we really thought that he was probably, after some of those events that he did, he was going to catch Corona. So
so he watched 60 Minutes. So evidently the president watched 60 Minutes.
He watches everything.
And so he does. Yeah. He's got people evidently feeding him a lot of stuff because he watched 60 Minutes. And on there, Fauci said that he knew that it was going to happen to the president, or he expected it was going to happen because the president was so careless about masks and things like that. So
the president is the king of name calling, but when you call him a name, oh wow. The claws, he's like Wolverine. The claws come.
Well,
out.
I don't think Fauci called him a name though. He just said
careless. No, he's careless. No, if you call that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He wasn't. So
I got another one for you.
What was that one?
Okay, so this thing with 50 Cent getting upset.
Oh yeah, money,
man,
dollars.
He's going for Trump, and he's like. I can't use the word. I'm a pastor, so I can't use the words that he was saying.
Oh yeah, he was.
Well, he was blasting.
He was gangster on him.
Biden.
He was gangster.
He says, "What? In my tax bracket, the taxes are going to be like 65% of your income." Yeah. The picture of him, that of this lead article was he was putting down his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Who 50 was?
Yeah. And so they show that picture, and then they show his beautiful. It was like a cognac colored Rolls Royce. I mean, oh my gosh, beautiful car. And then they said, "Are you
bankrupt or something? What happened to that?"
Basically, he's
bankrupt
right.
for them means I owe some people, but anyway, my millions are over here in Switzerland and stuff like that.
You restructure. Restructure. That's what bankruptcy means for them.
His real money somewhere else. That's all he means. It's like all right.
So the whole thing was. He said, "I am not going to support somebody that wants to take 65% of my hard-earned money." Yeah. He said, "You have to be losing your mind." That's a nice way to say it. So
so let's finish this off before we go to break here in our first break.
Yep.
So you got 50, and then you got Ice Cube with the contract with Black America that he presented. So I started to call this segment "Rappers for Trump,"
right?
Rappers for Trump, because all these guys now are signing, and I think it really more than anything is, all these guys are thinking a lot. There's a lot of economics because in that contract with Black America that Ice Cube has, it's about economic. He calls it economic justice, and he's basically saying we got a lot of things that we can do to fix some economic things. And he went to the Democratic Party, he went to the Republican Party, and he said, "Hey, I want to talk." The Democrats told him, "We'll talk to you after the election," and the Republicans said, "Let's talk now." Mm-hmm. So Cube was like, "All right, I'm good. Let's talk." And he talked to them. So then the Democrats started saying he's selling out and things like that. So but he's watching out for dollars.
Said that he's selling out before they even had the conversation. And I like the way he was not abrasive. He wasn't mean about it, but he just really had a way of setting it straight. So
he's a businessman.
He's a businessman. Well, we have so much to talk about these principles for unity, but we're going to go away for just a second. And when you come back, I first have to say, listen, we're still in early voting in Harris County. Yeah. So we want everybody to go out to vote. And listen, don't vote the way somebody tells you to vote. Let's search that out in your own heart and look at the issues, be informed about the issues, and go vote with a clear conscience. Amen. Okay. So we'll be right back.
Cool.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
Don't push me because I'm close to the edge.
I'm trying not to lose my head.
Hey, this is the Talk About Unity show where I bring the talk.
And I bring the unity.
And together we talk about unity. Unity is what matters.
Come on.
And right now in our country, that's what we've got to do. So we do that here at Talk About Unity on the Edge Radio Network. Be with us every week.
It's going to be awesome. It always is. And I tell you what, the more we seek first to understand, then be understood, we make progress.
And we like to do that. And that's why everybody's on the brink. We love what we do at Edge Radio because everybody's on the edge. We bring them back from the edge and we bring the unity. So we're just glad to Edge Radio Network every Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Talk about unity because here at Edge Radio Network, truth still matters. And we're back at Talk About Unity, sponsored by the E.R.A.S.E, the American Unity Movement. And as we were saying before we went to break, you've got an opportunity now to go out and do that early voting thing, get out of the way so you don't have to stand in a really, really long line, because you can probably find some places near you right now that have shorter lines. As the initial thrill, when they first started, the lines were really long, and some of the places they're getting shorter, and you probably can find a place near you where that's happening. But get out there and do that thing and vote. And one of the things they want to stress is that, hey, there are more people that are running for office than simply the president.
That's right.
Because most people think of it as just the presidential election, but a lot of other things that, can affect what's going on in your community. So want to get out there and do that. And before we get into our principles for unity, I just wanted to talk about the fact that, the E.R.A.S.E, American Unity Movement, while we launched in 2018, which was our beginning, it was years before that. And I would say you can go back as far as 2015. I find writings that I was doing along those lines from 2011 and 2012. So we've been talking about this for a long time. But one of the things that's key about this movement is that there are these action steps that have to be taken. And so we had to kind of come up with a framework for what we're talking about. And so we didn't just say kind of erase race and just throw it out there. And most people treat it that way when they hear, they go, erase race, that just sounds very simple. And while that might sound simple, there's a lot more to it than that. And so the other part of it is the unity part that we're talking about today. And so in covering that, we have what we call the principles of unity, because it's not just a thing where we say, everybody come together, hold hands, and let's sing Kumbaya. There's this thing that's got to happen so that people understand these principles. And so we've got the principles of unity, along with some of the other things. You heard me talk earlier about rules for dialogue. We talked about, and that we're not covering that in the show at all today, whatever, but that's something that we often cover with Erase Race. Well, matter of fact, tomorrow on our Facebook Live, we'll be talking about rules for dialogue. We have this role-playing segment where people see what we mean about how to communicate with each other, because that's one of our big faults in our country. We don't know how to effectively communicate with each other. And so that leads to some bad conversations, kind of like Fauci and Trump. Some of the things like that happen because we just haven't learned to dialogue effectively. And so those are some of the things. But so, Richard, go ahead and tell them. Let's get down to our principles for unity and give it to them, and then we'll start talking about
four things. And I want to grind this in. I want to get to the point, and I do this with our people all the time. Let's lock it in so you don't forget it. Because these principles will actually cause you, when you're focused on this whole race movement and mindset, lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. I think when we have these four elements, that it will make it so much easier to move forward. So we're going to do this.
So they'll be good for outside of here too.
Yeah. So check out first, right? Carol Burnett used to do this when she was saying bye-bye to her aunt. First one is listen. Listen, Linda. Linda, listen. So listen is number Linda? One. It's a guy, little bitty Hispanic guy was telling his mama to, not get mad at him because Grandma gave him some food. Go look at it. Go look up. Listen, Linda. It's a little bitty guy.
Okay.
Okay. Listen, Linda. Listen, Linda. The next one is learn.
Learn.
Yeah. Learn.
Okay.
Learn, grasshopper. Learn. Listen. Learn.
Who's grasshopper? Oh, I know Kung Fu.
Yeah, Kung Fu.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got
Learn.
I bet you don't know that one, Vince. That's old school. Grasshopper.
Yeah,
You
that's
don't-
like 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Listen, learn. Next one, love. So it's we're not going far. Listen, learn, love, and last one, live. Live.
Yeah.
Go ahead and get it out. Get it out of your mind. Let it flow out of your heart and get it into your hands, your feet, your mouth, your eyes, your ears. So I'm gonna say it one more time. Listen, learn, love, and live.
Outstanding.
It's gonna
All right.
make a big deal. Go.
Good. Really stuff. Okay, so let's cover each one of these. And Vince is over there. Vince is our producer here. He does all the good stuff over there. One day we're gonna have Vince on the show. We're gonna have Vince on.
We
we're
have
bring
to.
Vince on the show and have him say some stuff. All right. All right. Let's get to these principles of unity. These are our principles by which we will bring about this thing that we want called unity. Listen, we've got to stop long enough to start hearing what other people are saying. All right. And sometimes we spend so much time trying to get out what we have to say that we don't take time to open our ears and begin listening. And so that's what we got to do, because so many reasons, and people have all kinds of reasons why they're not listening, but we got to understand that people simply are not listening. And as I was telling you before, in our rules for dialogue, we have this thing where before you even enter into a discussion, like we've got these 6 steps. The first 5 are about how we can make sure that we are hearing the other person.
That's
the
good.
first 5. And so before you ever get to the conversation you're trying to have about the subject matter, you've got to do this big work of hearing what the other people are saying. So many conversations, probably like the one from Fauci and Trump. You're not even hearing what the other people are saying. You're just spending so much time getting out your stuff that you're not engaging the ears. Your mouth is moving and your ears are not engaged. It's like those things are mutually exclusive. It's like I do this and this is not working.
This has actually happened in my relationship with my beautiful wife, the Queen of Spring, Amy. And
the Queen of Spring. I'm gonna
she
remember
is
that.
the Queen of Spring.
Amy, the Queen of Spring.
So she,
I like that.
in the early days, we argued a lot more than we do now. You figure some stuff out along the way. But in the early days, she caught me. She cold busted me. She said, "You're not listening to anything I'm saying. You're just thinking about what you're about to say." And I go, no, I heard everything you said. And then she busted me. She said, "Well, what did I just say?" No. I'm so sorry. You can't. If we're going to engage, and we're actually going to spend the time, effort, and energy to work through something, dialogue. Listen first. I'm sorry. Took that. Go.
Yeah, that's good. That's good input because as we talk about, remember this is a principle of unity. See, and that's the thing. If your objective is unity, then you'll undergo the principles. You'll undergo what's necessary to create that. But think about some of the discussions you hear via social media and some of the things that you see on TV and internet. The people don't have the objective of unity. So they don't have to. I don't want to listen to you. I don't need to listen to you because I'm not really caring about this ultimate objective of unity. Yeah. But if I really want the unity, then I'm gonna it's because it has to do with respecting you. I'm gonna respect you. I'm gonna honor you in listening to what you have to say, because my objective is to take what you have to say, my ideas as well, let's mix them together and let's come up with something that we can agree upon so that we can walk together. And that's what unity is about.
On this listen thing, it really hit me when I was thinking about what we were doing today and going through this. Listen is so important. In high school, remember, you young whippersnappers won't understand what I'm saying. We used to actually have driver's ed in school. We had driver's ed in school. We took the class, and then we started doing the driver's thing, like during the summer or after school. And my driver's ed teacher was Coach Miller. It's Coach Miller. And so I'm in the seat. I'm in the driver's seat.
Coach Miller, he might be watching. Hey, Coach.
Yeah, hey, Coach.
Right.
So I'm in the driver's seat. He's in the passenger seat, and there's 3 people in the back seat because they're observing me drive. And so I'm thinking, I'm actually behind the wheel of this car. And Coach is sitting next to me. Coach is going to be so impressed with how I'm driving this. And my friends are in the back seat. My peers are actually experiencing how great of a driver I am. And so I'm all absorbed in that moment. And Coach said, all right, Jennings, take a right at the next stop sign. Get to the next stop sign. I take a left. And I'm going down the road and people giggle a little bit. I'm thinking, well, they just giggling because I'm such a good driver. And get to the next stop sign and he says, Jennings, take a left. I take a right. And then he says, Jennings, will you please, and they're laughing even louder now. So he goes, Jennings, stop. Just stop right now. I'm like, uh-oh, I did something wrong. He says, Jennings, is there someplace you want to go? I go, no. He says, well, I said take a left, you took a right. I said take a right, you took a left. You have to listen to what I'm saying. And the point is I'm trying to make about that is it's ingrained in me, and it was very embarrassing. But how many times are we engaged? We think we're engaged, but we're self-absorbed or absorbed in the surroundings, and we think we're going somewhere, but we're actually going in the opposite direction than where we should have been going had we been listening. So anyway, that was a powerful learning lesson to me, but we really need to pay attention so we can actually make progress.
And listening is a hard one for us. And I think when it enters the public spectrum, because even in personal relationships, when it's just two of you there, that's tough. But it's even much more tough when you bring it out into a public
audience,
and you've got a huge audience. So yeah. All right, so that's our listen. Let's go to our second one. Our second principle of unity is learning. And if this is a big one for me because I didn't realize the benefits that were accrued to me. Some people would call that privilege. Benefits accrued to me because my parents were educators. My dad was from university. My mom taught math, high school and junior high school level. And so education was really their thing. And so they had the idea. And I even think about my mom who passed away when she was 82, all the way up through, she was always learning new things. At her age, she was still getting the newest software for computers and learning how to use them. And I was like, wow. I thought most people got this bedrock of knowledge and said, I'm going to ride it out to the rest of my life. She was learning forever. She was always learning. So I've seen so many examples of that continual learning, and I think that's so beneficial. And so when it comes to this thing about unity, that's important because if you're listening to people, and one of the things I heard Jordan B. Peterson, if you ever listen to Jordan, have you ever listened to Jordan Peterson?
No.
Oh my goodness, you got to listen to Jordan B. Peterson. He's a clinical psychologist, and he's really deep. He says some really deep things. But one of the things he said, always assume that the people that you're talking with know something you don't know. He said, always assume that. Yeah. And I think one of the things we do, because we don't listen and we don't, and we're not listening for knowledge, we're not trying to learn. We're just like, I've got so much to say. They need to hear me, whatever. I need to espouse what I know and all this stuff. But there's something to be learned from that listening that we're doing. And there's just something there's such benefit in just always thinking about what can I learn out of this interaction that I'm having.
We need to check our heart for arrogance because we think, oh, well, when they quit blabbering and slow down, then I'll be able to enlighten them about how amazing I am with this, my eloquent wisdom. Right. And so we can't do that. So it's just so important. Yeah. So,
and the thing is, especially where we are right now in our country, we've got this division along population groups. Yep. Some would say blacks, whites. This racial tension that's happening, and I think it's the same principle. I think we spent so much time segregated that we don't think that the other group has anything to offer us. We don't think that we can grow together. We don't think that we can learn together. Yeah. And there's so much I think that we could learn. If we ever became the United States of America, if we ever really integrated, we'd find out there's so much that we missed out on learning from each other. And that's what I think we need to do. So
there's two more principles that we are going to talk about, but we're going to take a real quick break and come right back and jump right into, I think the most important one is love. So we'll see you in just a minute.
We'll be back.
Are you a small business owner concerned about the downturn in the economy? Top business leaders like Mattress Mac and Warren Buffett will tell you that now is the time to promote your business more than ever. People need your services. Your business needs an edge. Learn about special advertising packages for small businesses right here on Edge Radio. Find out more, give us a call at 281-744-0446. That's 281-744-0446. Edge, because truth still matters.
Welcome back to Talk About Unity, and today we're talking about these principles of unity. We're taking a deeper dive into some of the things that really bring about unity. We're not just going to talk about it, because one day we're going to have to walk about it, and so that's what we're doing. We're talking about these principles of unity today. We finished with one before we went to the commercial segment, where we were talking about learn and how there's love, there's listen, there's learn, and so that's where we are. We're on the second one. Listen and learn. All right. Yeah, we're getting to love. We're gonna come to love in a second here. But I wanted to finish off something about this learn one, because I was talking about how I grew up in an educator's home. Both of my parents being educators, and how vital learn was into our whole family environment. And so one of the things we're doing with the E.R.A.S.E American Unity Movement, we're talking about how we need to learn about each other. We need to choose to learn about each other. That's how we bring about unity. And we have this crazy idea. One of the things we're about creating a social media app where you can really engage at a family level and learn about each other. Because of COVID, now, because we were actually, before COVID happened, as we were doing some of the planning for this in 2018, we talked about how we could get families to begin engaging. And we were going to have events. We were going to have restaurants and businesses join in with us on this, so that they could get families to begin engaging across cultures and demographics. So that was going to be how we were going to do it. And so, of course, because of COVID and because we've been restricted on doing some things, we've got a new idea about how to do that. And we're talking about a family social media app. Okay. That allows families to scroll through, and you can find, it gives these breakdowns of the type of families that you've got out there. I've got 2 kids and they're teenager. I've got 4 kids. They're out of the house now. My wife and I are at home. We're retired. We're doing this, whatever. You can go across, you can look and research through the profiles, find a family and say, all right, let's begin dialogue family-wise. Tell me about your family. Tell me, and that way we get some family connections. And that's an ability to really learn about others, because we haven't done that very well. Because think about it, in our communities, and a lot of times now in our communities, we don't even know our next door neighbors, Right. And so definitely that's more split when you start talking about we don't know those people down the street who are not like us, We don't venture that way. So we need to be intentional about this. And that's one of the tenets that we have in our Erase Race movement. We talk about how this is going to have to be an intentional action, because if we leave it to ourselves, it's against our human nature. Doesn't mean it's something that you don't do because you're black or you don't do it because you're white or whatever, all these things that people talk about. It's because it's our human nature to simply, go with the known, go with what we know already, and not venture out into the unknown. That's kind of intimidating. And so that's one of the things we're doing in the Learn thing. So before you go to love, I just wanted to bring that up about that's a good Learn initiative that we've got in the Erase Race.
And when we do learn, and then we know, then we should hold ourselves accountable for that and go against the flow, do something totally different. Yesterday, this happened yesterday. I had to go into our favorite grocery store.
Walmart?
Well, no, actually.
Walmart's my favorite.
Okay, well, H-E-B. I love H-E-B.
Oh, you're H-E-B.
It's a grocery store, not big box store.
Well, they compete because Walmart's got
Yeah.
groceries. My wife loves HEB, and we have in the house HEB and Walmart wars. But anyway, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So when I go into HEB, I'm over there on the far left side of the store because I had to pick up a prescription. You know, I'm getting old and I get prescriptions, right? So I'm getting ready to go in there to get my prescription, and there was this little old lady standing there on the side of the deal, and it's like the secondary exit, and it was all piled up over in the primary exit. So people were peeling out to the other side to leave the store. Well, there was a lady that was going through, just minding her own business, having a great day, and the little old lady said, "Ma'am, would you mind? Can I see your receipt? I need to check bags because everybody's peeling out over there." And just explaining, she says, "Well," and the lady got so offended. She said, "Well, I didn't see you check that lady's bag, and I bet you didn't check that lady's bag." And I just walked by and I just kind of shook my head, and not in an angry way, but just like, I can't believe we're getting spun up so fast over little things. So fast forward, I get my prescription, I'm walking out the door, and there's the little lady standing there, and she's in a much more sheepish kind of
She's
posture.
scared somebody's going to jump her.
She's
now.
scared.
Yeah.
And so when I walk past her, I already have my receipt in my hand. I got my bag. And she says, "Sir, do you mind if I check your bag?" I go, "Absolutely not. Thank you. You're doing a great job today." And so I handed her that and I said, "Hey, and God bless you. And, I hope you have a great day," and walk past. And I'm like, let's lead by example.
Yeah.
Even if they don't ask for your
You should have had
receipt.
on an Erase T-shirt.
I
so
should have.
American
hey,
Unity.
listen,
We gotta
yes,
get you a shirt.
yes.
Yeah.
And just wear it all the time.
Unity.
Just wear it all the time. And, lead by example. If people ask for things or not, but yet they're in a position where they might or usually do, then lead by example and just show, hey, this is okay. This needs to be a cultural norm. Some norms that we encourage are not bad. And that's one of those things that, come on, people just trying to do their job. If that was my grandma, I wouldn't want anybody to yell at them. So you ready? Let's move into principle number 3. The principle number 3 sounds so easy.
Principle number 3,
But
LOVE. I got the rhyme happening.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
Not
with
even
the
for
LOVE.
me.
All right, let's get out of this. Let's go. All right, go. Love.
It's love. People write songs, poetry, greeting cards.
Oh man, love's the market.
They talk about it. Yeah, Tina Turner. Come on, my mom is the white chocolate. She reminds me so much of Tina Turner. What's love got to do? Got to do everything. The Beatles.
Love.
All you need is love. Bum ba 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 bum.
Money can't buy love.
Money can't buy love. Yeah, what is love? Love. Love is everything. Love is the key. Love is the key. And listen, we need to talk about what it takes for us to show love in a racially sensitive, angry world.
The building is on fire.
It is on fire.
And so, just so we get a picture, America's building is on fire. Love is a bucket of water.
Come on.
Love is the fire hose.
Yes.
Love is, and so, but most people aren't running for the fire hose. Most people are running and grabbing the bucket of gasoline.
Yep.
And we should be running and grabbing a bucket of water. And so there's a lot we've got to do to understand what is required. And so, when we talked about listening and learning, if you get to those things, I think then that gives us a support for the ability that we need in order to love. Because that's the thing. A lot of us, I think, are incapable in our current situation because we're not even doing those things necessary to grab the fire hose or the bucket of water. We're doing things that are just, like I said, making that fire more intense, and so there's a lot that we've got to do, and we've got to, and it starts with us deciding that we're going to hear other people and care about them, that compassion, and that's so missing. Like the act that you did yesterday, because you witnessed the nasty, you said, "I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to be different. I'm going to be something. I'm going to show her something different."
Yes.
And that's what we've got to choose to do because most people are responding and they're reacting to what's happening to them, and so. You hit me, they've an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. You hit me, I hit you back, and that's the way it keeps going. Somebody's got to stop that.
Love is not a fluffy feeling. Love is an action.
It's an action.
It's
Love is a
something-
verb.
Something that we do.
Mhm.
And, I think it's so important to embrace that. C.S. Lewis, in a book called Mere Christianity,
Mhm.
if you've ever wanted to read a book that will stick to your bones, this is a great book, very practical. So he says this, if you don't, and works in every relationship, if you don't love, act like you do, and you soon will. Think about that.
Yeah.
If you don't love, act like you do,
Mhm.
and you soon will. We need to be more intentional about loving people.
Cool.
So important.
We got one more principle to go, and so we're going to take a break. After we come back from the break, the last one is if you do all those other things,
Yeah.
if you listen, if you learn, and if you love, then you'll be able to do this last one that we're going to take when we come right back. So join us right after the break.
That's good. Welcome back.
Welcome
Our
back.
last principle that we're going to talk about today. Remember, let me talk about the first three real quick. The first one is listen, learn, love. And the last one, principle, very important, is to live. Come on, Carlin, let's talk about this. This is so important.
Yeah, live is important because when you think about live, and I like the fact that live kind of is a word that comes in. It's got all these other, I should say, derivative words from it, like life, like alive. All these have that concept of what it means to really live. And I think if you don't do those other things that we were talking about, I mean, because if you really, life doesn't start for you until you begin to care about others, you know?
That's
And so all those other things that we were talking about had this concept of both, you know, listening to others, learning from others, loving others. And if you don't have this other concept, it's going to be hard for you to live, you know, because that really is the essence of life. It's our interacting with other people in a way that, and I think that interaction with other people is what gives us that life. It gives us that vitality. Because think about it. I think when they put people in prison in solitary confinement and they're cut off from other people, you can look at stories. You can hear stories about how cruel that is and what that does to those people. And it's I never saw the movie, but I remember the movie where Tom Hanks got stranded on the island, you know,
Castaway.
Castaway. Oh man, and I remember seeing clips of that and the things that he tried to do to keep himself alive.
His volleyball friend Wilson.
Yeah, his volleyball friend, whatever. Why? Because we were built for that.
Yes.
We were built for that engagement, and that's what life is. And we think we've come to take it that life is in the abundance of things that we possess. It's in the collection. You know, I was thinking about Dak Prescott as I watched the Cowboys getting drummed last night. That was heartbreaking for Texas and people in Texas. Heartbreaking. But Dak Prescott, and they were talking about how he passed up on the contract. They wanted to give him a 4-year contract. He wanted a 5-year contract, you know, and the hundreds of millions of dollars he would have made. And I was just thinking to myself, you know, these people who make all that money, and you hear so many stories, and I'm not talking specifically about Dak Prescott, but you hear about these millionaires who commit suicide.
Oh my goodness.
I said, that is the ultimate in understanding that it really isn't in the stuff. Life is not in the stuff.
That's right.
And your life can be just as miserable with billions of dollars as with no dollars. I mean,
right.
And so we got to understand that's not it. Life comes from the way that we begin connecting with each other, and that's what we need to do. Life.
And you know, it's intentional to move beyond the material things and the political things and the things that other people do that we may not agree with or we may not understand. And you can love people where they're at without loving what they do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, you can as a pastor, you know, the phrase, you can love the sinner without loving the sin. And you know what? If we would stop focusing on all their flaws and spot the one or two things, maybe you only see one or two things. If you look hard enough, you can see good in everybody, and just celebrate that. Thank God that they're alive, you know, and
alive.
as long as they are alive, and as long as we are living, there's an opportunity for change and for growth and for reconciliation. We got to move towards that. We really do. It's a great season.
You know, and it's sometimes I think, and especially in our culture today, it's about there's so many things in our culture that I think keep us from really being alive or really living. You know, which is what we're talking about, to live. And we spend so much time, and I think people begin to think that life is, I've got to get on Facebook and this is life now. And we take that thing, and while it is a medium that can be used for some things, there's some good things that can come about via that. We got to understand, though, that's very second rate to really living. That's second rate to being alive. First rate living is engaging with people. You know, that's first rate living, when we really can be engaged with each other. Because, you know, and actually that's second rate because we first need to engage with God. But within that context, we really got to engage with each other. And if we do that, we'll discover what it means to live. And we look at America and the racial tensions that we have. We have not begun to live until we've begun to engage across these cultural demographics. And I tell people this all the time. If they had lived my life, they would be doing exactly what I'm doing. You know, you would be doing, because you understand. I mean, because of all of the different cultures of people around the world that I've engaged with, there's no way that I could ever go back to saying, I'm a black person or living in my black world or whatever. I mean, I understand what some people just are in love with their quote unquote black culture. I understand that. I understand why. I grew up in Prairie View, and people knows in Prairie View, that's a black city. It was Blacktown, USA, whatever. And we got all the black history, watching Prairie View's band. I mean, these were what people would call black experiences. And those things are still cool. I still look forward to seeing their band perform. And I like the things that happen in Prairie View. However, that is so small to the world that's out there. And there's a whole lot bigger world. And my experiences are just as exciting when I went and dealt with my Iraqi friends in Baghdad, Iraq. We had those same things. There are things that I miss about Baghdad, Iraq. When my wife and I go to Nigeria, there are things I love about that. And the same thing happens in various communities here in the United States when I go with a different group or whatever. And so in my life, I'm bringing those worlds together, because that, to me, is life.
And we have to be intentional about getting outside of what's comfortable and what is known, and really understand that there is you said, I'm just saying in a different way, there's a much larger world out there besides the ones that we live in. And the beauty of discovery when we move into life with cultures that are different than we are, and to hear the stories, ask the questions, why do you think that way? Like when people, I'm having an argument, not really an argument, more of a debate or a conversation of differences, and then I say something that I think is indefensible, because I built a great argument about some things. Sometimes I'm like, no, actually, now that I think about it, I'm an idiot. But when I say something like that,
Queen of Spring, you hear him say that? Queen of Spring.
Yeah, she'll agree. So, but there are some times when you're having a conversation with somebody that's angry, frustrated, because all they see is the injustice, but they don't have a good argument or an intellectual position on something. The first word out of their mouth towards me is, "Well, you're a racist."
Yeah.
But then my response is, honestly, I want to grow and I want to know, how is that? All I did was said something about this one political issue or cultural issue or policing issue or world issue, and all of a sudden now I'm a racist. I really want to know, and somebody that I've invested in a relationship with, now all of a sudden they're on the defensive and they have to defend. They have to defend that, and if they're honest and they don't have an argument, they just didn't. That's like, I'm losing the argument, so let me say it. You're a racist. And then all of a sudden I move from having this discussion into defending, oh, well, I have black friends and then I've done this and I've done. No. Stop being so defensive. If you're trying to defend why you're not, come on. Just lay that down and say, no, explain to me why you say that I am, but say that in a way, not in an angry way, but give them an opportunity to articulate why they say you are. You may find out that, oh, guess what? I am. And I need to repent and I need to get better. I had a blind spot that I didn't even know I had, and then move forward with that. So,
and I've got a great thing that we're going to do with because we're going to stop all the labeling and things such as racism. I mean, I've got this graphic that I'm putting together, and it'll be a video presentation, but it shows that we've all got issues somewhere along the spectrum. So if you take this and let's say if you had an end, I don't use such words, but if you had racists on this side and non-racists on this side, the reality is every single American, every single person has these biases, and it would be a dot somewhere on that line. But in addition to that dot on that line, you've got all these other things. And so your life is comprised of a whole lot of things that you quote unquote are. You feel this way about this thing, and it's somewhere along that spectrum. For every human being, you're probably dotted along that spectrum in a whole lot of places. And so here's what the idea of race does. Race says you're fixed in this one little box right here. You're fixed in this box, and that's where you belong. And so when somebody says, Richard, you're a racist, they take that one dot, stick it there, and you stay right there and you don't move. And that's not only does it not make sense, it's not true. All right. And so none of us are that one dot. We're all in our lives somewhere along the spectrum, and multiple places along the spectrum, and it changes. We go forward and backward in our lives as we go, whatever. So what's the point of labels? They're useless.
That's right.
Listen, learn, love, and live with people, and you'll find out who they are, and you can call them by name and not racist. Nope.
The discovery of when we live and experience and move into relationship, it becomes, in the beginning you're intentional, but then it becomes second nature after a while, and things that happen in your life that you discover turn into beautiful moments, and they actually become a part of your psyche, a part of your memories. I was getting the COVID test a few months back, and the lady poked my brain with a popsicle stick, and as she hit my nose and back there, she touched my shoulder and she just massaged my shoulder a little bit. She says, "Hang on, baby." The way she said it, very southern, sweet, Louisiana flair. She says, "Hang on, baby, it's gonna be all right." And it just reminded me of the beautiful cultural relationships that I have. I thought, man, I love my life.
She's so tender with this big 6'5" guy.
I love my life.
6'5" guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we need to live, and we need to discover, and there's so much out there that's beautiful. And so, well, you know what? We need to talk a lot more about this, but it's
right.
It's
we'll get to it. We'll get to it in the coming weeks. We're going to continue the dialogue. Hey, but I want to, before we go out, I want to tell you all to be on alert. Go out to at E.R.A.S.E Races on Facebook, and I'm going to put information out there that talks about our book club. Remember, we're going to start with Isabel Wilkerson's cast, The Origins of Our Discontents. A great read. I mean, if you really want to get smart about this whole thing in our country about race and where we're headed, then you'll need to read that book, and everybody will be cool. All right.
That's it.
So that's it. We thank you for this week. Talk about unity. Like I said, we're going to get Vince on here later on. Vince is going to send us out with our dynamic music, and so you all will be listening to that. And so we're out for this week, and we'll see you all next time on Talk About Unity.